Are you ready? It's time for another great infotaining show filled with power-packed business and life information. Welcome to Your Future Is Now with your host, Jim Grant, and co-host, Don McGrath. Want to know how to create a fantastic TED Talk? Or how you can become an author or a speaker or build your own online business? Maybe it's reaching a level of success in your life that you deserve. Their show is designed to provide information to assist you towards your success and destiny. Each week, Jim and Don will interview a special guest and share exciting lessons. So grab a pen and paper, take some notes. Thanks for joining the show. Now, here's Jim.
Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jim Grant. Your Future Is Now is sponsored by SpeakersPathway.com. And with me today is the co-founder of SpeakersPathway.com, Dandy Don McGrath. Dandy Don, how are you doing today out there in snowy Colorado?
Doing good, trying to stay warm. We got about 4 or 5 inches of snow overnight. And so, took the dog out for a walk, and I think I'm just going to stay in the rest of the day.
I know what you mean. We were up there in January this past year, earlier this year, and we were doing the Pathway for Vets. And Dandy Don and I, we did a live video there in front of his house in the middle of a blizzard, and people thought we had lost our minds. And we were actually having fun. We were enjoying that. We snowballed each other a couple of times and just had a wonderful time, didn't we, brother?
We did. In fact, I think every time you come here, I don't care if it's in July, we have some kind of a storm. It's like you attract the bomb cyclones to us. I don't know, Jim.
I hear you. The first time we made a video there, I was there in July, and Don, you called it. You says there's a storm coming. We had a lot of fun up there. And last week, ladies and gentlemen, we had Mira Beck on our radio show, and oh my goodness gracious, the issues that he had coming from the Czech Republic. He had his father gave him $3,000. He sold his family car for this young man to have this opportunity and give him a couple $100 of extra money, just as kind of like a hurry up thing. And I'll tell you what, he gets here and immediately he is in a con game. He loses his $3,000. He can barely speak English. He's got $200 in his pocket, and he just felt like if he's got to sleep out under a tree, it might as well be a palm tree. So he got a ticket from New York City and went to Tampa, Florida. And his story was very, very inspiring for us, wasn't it, Don?
It really was. It's a great story of overcoming adversity, not giving up. When things aren't going well, just keep going. And that's exactly what Mira did. And I love his story, and I love what he does today, which is all things video.
You're exactly right. And ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't get a chance to catch the show, it's on our podcast here on the TogiNet radio station. Just go to toginet.com/Your Future Is Now, and you can download his show. You can go catch us on iTunes. We got the link there. And I mean, his show is very, very inspiring, especially when the going gets tough. He was tough enough to keep going, and he did. And he just kept on, trying until failure to him was unacceptable. That was the bottom line. Like he says, there's no way I could go home and not be able to face my parents, especially my dad, because when I face him again, I want to be able to pay him back the $3,000, and he did. What a wonderful, wonderful feeling that he earned because he didn't quit. And I believe the young lady we have on today can also say she's earned everything that she's done in life because she did not quit. Dandy Don, would you be so kind as to welcome Charity to the show and introduce her, please?
Absolutely, my pleasure. So Charity and I actually connected on Facebook, and I saw this woman out there just with incredible energy, doing incredible things, putting on her own events, and we chatted, and I am just so impressed by what you've done, Charity. And I just can't wait for you to share with our audience what you're up to and a little bit about your story. So welcome to the show, Charity.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being here.
Yeah, the topic of our show that you says is live true to your dreams, not true to your fears. Oh, my goodness gracious. How many people fall prey to that? I mean, Charity, would you share with us how you came up with that topic?
I came up with that topic because that has been my life. I just grew up being afraid of everything, afraid of success, afraid of failure, afraid of what people would think if I did, what they would think if I didn't, afraid of my own shadow pretty much. And then just in my journey of learning to transform the culture of my mind, I realized, our mindset can be our greatest asset or our biggest enemy. So we really can live true to our dreams, those goals, instead of true to our fears. And that's what I had been doing. I had been living true to my fears, but not anymore.
That's wonderful. Don, I love here what you said in our overview that there's nothing more powerful than being secure in who you are and living true to your dreams. Wow. When you read those words or hear those words, what does that mean to you, Dandy?
What occurs to me is it's hard. It really is hard because we have these voices in our head telling us, I don't have time, I don't have money, I'm not good enough. And so Charity, share with us some of the how. Like, how did you make that shift?
I made that shift. The first step was awareness. I wasn't even aware that was my reality. I honestly had believed that I was defective and that I was just someone who was not going to have success in my life. That was for other people. And in my early 20s, I went to a seminar on mental health. I did not want to be there, but a good friend gave me a good arm twisting. And so I found myself taking an assessment, and it indicated that I had severe depression and social anxiety. And at first that was really hard to take in because I thought, I'm not a depressed person. I don't fit the stereotype of what I thought that meant because I could fake it. I could smile and be witty. Actually, I was very sarcastic. And so I could kind of pretend to be friendly and kind. And so I didn't think that I was depressed because I could fake it. I just felt defective. But I was so disconnected from my feelings and my emotions. I had repressed a lot of things and I was not connected to myself. And as a little kid, we had very meager finances. And I remember being called a charity case. And so my very name, which my parents said, it means unconditional love. We chose this name for you. It was just trampled under someone else's words. And those external critics, that's just one case. Those external critics became my internal critic. And then I was toxic on the inside, even though I pretended on the outside. But then that day that I became aware that something was the issue, I started diving deep into books. And the first book that I read was by John Bradshaw. It was called Homecoming, Championing and Reclaiming Your Inner Child. And so that just gave me some tools and steps. And then I just kept diving into psychology, reading more and more about depression and mental illness, reading about mindset, personal development, and the brain and how the brain, just our thoughts they affect the physiology of our bodies. And just in time, I discovered a process and steps that I took over and over and over again to change that mindset. And those steps are laid out in my book, which is called Perspectives, 30 Days to a New Life Through a New Lens. And that's recently published. And so the same steps that I took, that took me almost 20 years to kind of refine and discover and realize that's basically what I've been doing, are now in that book. And it's a workbook. And so the process was tedious, and it was a lot like peeling back layers of an onion and saying, okay, all right, I'm healed. This is great. And then there's another layer of garbagey thinking that I had to change and shift. And so how to do that? I would say one quick tip would be, if you imagine looking through a pair of eclipse glasses at the sun, that brilliant, huge ball of gas up in the sky is reduced to a tiny little dot in the distance through those lenses. And sometimes in our life, we look at ourselves through these dark lenses of fear and doubt and judgment, and then we feel small. We feel like we do not create impact and we're not important. And that's a learned behavior. It is a learned behavior, and it can be unlearned. And that's essentially what I did. I had to unlearn the garbage that made me feel that way and just change it and put new information in so I get better output.
Absolutely. I understand what you're saying there, because growing up, I mean, we get a lot of negative things thrown at us as young people. And sometimes when I'm on stage, I tell the humorous but very true story that one time I was standing in the living room, and my parents, this was back in the mid-'60s, I was just in high school there, and they saw Walter Cronkite come on the news, and back in those days, what Walter Cronkite said was gospel, okay? That's just the way the world was with our parents. And he said something about scientists have proven that people only use 10% of their brains. And my parents were really shocked. And then they both looked at me and they kind of got upset. And I thought, now what did I do? And then I realized that, they probably thought when I was in school, I wasn't even using that much. I mean, those are the kind of things that can scar you. And for many years, as Don knows, I had a fear of public speaking. And then I overcame that because I had to face it. And I tell that story, but most importantly, no matter what it is, it's holding you back. You can overcome it if you change your attitude, because your attitude will determine your altitude, as Zig Ziglar says. And I love what Don says. Don says success rewards what?
Action. And you took some action, right? A friend twisted your arm, but you were open to it and you took some action. So that takes courage.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, and I tell you, it's really, when you were talking there, Charity, it really struck me as there's people out there saying, wow, I can relate to that. And that's why we have good quality guests on the show like you, because we want our audience to be able to connect with you. And my goodness, your story is just amazing. And I can't wait to hear after we come back from commercial what more you're going to share with us, because, some of the questions that she shared with us, she asked one of the questions she said you might ask her, says, what are you not very good at? And I'm thinking, oh, my goodness, do I really want to ask her that or not? Because I don't know, Charity. You do, Don. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back right after these messages.
SpeakersPathway.com is the proud sponsor of Your Future Is Now, a show dedicated and aligned in perfect harmony with the vision and mission of Speakers Pathway. Dr. Sony Jackson's expertise is on the art of marketing while cultivating a long-term customer relationship in your business world. Do you know what to say or how to deliver your message to complete strangers? If so, Sony can help you. Tamara Hunter is a cancer survivor and works with people to focus their message or mission to the audience they want to reach. Do you feel called to create a movement to make the world a better place? If so, Tamara can help you. For additional information from any of our executive training directors, go to speakerspathway.com. That is speakerspathway.com.
In today's business world, a helping hand or idea that doesn't come with an invoice is a treasured find. And if that happens to you, then you need to pay it forward to keep other entrepreneurs from making mistakes or getting a raw deal. It's called Paying It Forward with Josephine Girassi, Wednesday mornings at 10, 9 a.m. Central. Josephine is going to have the guests describe their accomplishments, the lessons they've learned, both good and bad, and then sharing those pieces of knowledge as we create a movement of paying it forward. For more information about Josephine, her business, and background, you can go to mymomknowsbest.com. Josephine Girassi has always been a problem solver. She saw this need and has turned it into a movement. It's Paying It Forward, with tips, tools, and advice and hard lessons learned. These pieces of knowledge can make a huge difference for you, your business, and others. So join us for Paying It Forward with Josephine Girassi, Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m., 9 a.m. Central on TogiNet.com.
Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jim Grant. Your Future is Now is sponsored by SpeakersPathway.com. And Dandy Don, there at SpeakersPathway.com, we got some great gifts there, don't we, brother?
We absolutely do. We've got a talented executive team who offers free gifts to anyone who visits our site, SpeakersPathway.com. Right in the middle, you can't miss it. Get your complimentary gifts. That'll take you to a page where you'll see our executive team, and beside each and every one of them, there's a complimentary gift. For example, Preston Martelli has 90 steps to improving your brand. So just go down, see his handsome face, click on the button, and get his wisdom.
Absolutely, because Preston is real good at that, and your brand is very, very important, and he gives some great information there, and it's a complimentary gift, and we do not put anyone on some type of an email list where we, attack you ever, fill up your email box every day or anything like that, because we don't have to. We realize when we provide value, people will want more. And we were talking right before the break about how things, how we struggle with the way we were brought up. And I shared with, the thing about the 10% brain we only used. My parents thought I wasn't using that much in school. And Charity was talking about some of the things that she went through, that she had to overcome. Those were some huge mountains. And we talked, we're up in the show with Mira. And my goodness, Dandy Don, when he was sitting there sharing that information with us, I was kind of like, I knew part of it, but I did not know all of the story that he shared with us. And I'm thinking, my goodness, I don't know about you, but I don't think I could have, kept on going on if I went through everything he did.
Just imagine being down to $200, being in a foreign country, and buying a bus ticket for $120 to go to Tampa. So, you're right. He's left with $80, not knowing. It's like going to the moon, right? And so, I just can imagine how that felt, and the fear that he faced spending money on that ticket. Just imagine what that felt like, handing over that money to get that bus ticket, and knowing it's like burning the boat. And Charity, you talked about the awareness, and getting that awareness, and I'm sure that was A, shocking, but B, really scary, right? And so I'd love you to share how that felt, and talk to us about the things you've learned about fear.
Well, at that point, when I discovered that, I had depression, I was in denial at first, and I took an extra copy of that assessment home, and I gave it to my husband, and he humored me, and he showed me his score, and I said, no, you got to turn it over and do both sides and add them both together. And he said, I did. I got a 5. What was your score? And mine was 48. It was towards the top of the scale, which is about, 55 or 60 or something. So his was really low and mine was really high. And so in that moment I said, well, never mind. It's just a course. It doesn't matter. And I just went down to the hall, and my emotions just burst up from my heart and cascaded down my cheeks. And first of all, I was just mourning, like, wow, how could I be depressed? This is an awful thing, because there is a stigma about depression. There was more heavily 20 years ago, but there still is. You feel like you're broken. You feel like you're defective. But as I really just accepted it and realized, at that point, I felt like a stranger in my own life. I felt like I was looking through the eyes of a stranger and not really connected to my emotions. So then as I really just started going through the process of just uncovering what is going on, connecting really to my emotions, paying attention, giving my emotions space to, feel what I felt, things that I had repressed, things that I had ignored, things that I pretended were okay, and just really peeling all those layers off. What happened in the process is I became connected to myself and learned to love my perfectly imperfect self.
I like the way you put that. Yeah, excuse me for interrupting you there, Charity. I like the way you put that because the message you were saying there that I was getting is that you learned how to love yourself. And I'd like for you to share more about how important that is for someone that don't feel like they're worthy, or someone that doesn't feel like they're loved, or they look at other people and wish they were more like them. No, they need to love themselves and be more themselves. Would you share that with them, please?
I will, and I will try not to get emotional.
Okay.
Relationships with anyone, with our loved ones, with your higher power, with your coworkers, the foundation of those relationships is loving yourself. You can only connect with others as deeply as you are connected with yourself. And it's vital. Connection is a basic human need. And we know that. We have studies that show that, in the infants and the elderly who are getting food, water, shelter, but not that human relationship element, they'll turn to the wall and die. And the effects in those categories are very swiftly met, and fatal. But those of us in between infant and elderly, we're healthier, we're more robust. We can maintain life in that type of stress for longer periods. But what's happening when we're not meeting our own core need of connecting with ourselves? We're denying ourselves that basic human need. And if you want to look around at the rise in mental illness, the rise in disconnection, isolation, addiction, suicide, it is all correlated with connection. And we are not even giving ourselves that basic human need when we're not giving ourselves space to just be who we are and love ourselves as we are.
Yeah, you're exactly right. As you're saying that, I'm picturing someone out there that might be listening either live or on a podcast. And Charity, would you be so kind as to share your email address and your website so someone could say, I got to get in touch with her right now. I mean, I want to know more about this lady because she is singing my song. Would you be kind enough to do that, please?
Absolutely. It's my name, Charity Haderlie. The last name is Haderlie @gmail.com. My website is my name, charityhaderlie.com. And for women specifically, I have a Facebook group called The Empowered Mindset for Women. So you can look me up on Facebook, come into that free group. You're going to get free trainings. You're going to get, I'll be doing interviews. You're going to get this type of content that'll help you become more connected and empowered in life. So go to that Facebook group or email me or go to my website. Website's getting revamped, so don't look too closely, I guess. I guess you can, perfectly imperfect, right?
Perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
Perfectly imperfect. That'll be getting a makeover. We're in the process of that. But yeah, reach out to me if you have any questions or you need some support. If I can help you, I will. And if I feel like you need to be referred to other resources, I will do that. My heart is here for you.
That's really amazing, and I thank you so much for that because it's just, when you, as a guest, give so much value to the audience. I mean, it just humbles me and Don because Don and I, we try to, reach people and provide complimentary gifts from speakerspathway.com, and we're all about giving. And Dandy Don, I know when it comes to speaking, you love helping people perfect their speech to get their message out, don't you, brother?
I do. I'm the speaking geek. I don't know if that's a self-proclaimed speaking geek or if somebody else gave me that moniker, but I embrace it and I own it. I am perfectly imperfect. But yeah.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Whether it was given to him or he came up with a speaking geek, he actually earned that. And talking about perfect and being imperfect and all that, one of the things I had to overcome, I should say, and this might be someone out there that's listening. You want to get things perfect before you put it in first gear and take off. Don't do it because you'll never get going. Isn't that right, Charity?
It is so true. Perfection is an illusion. But what we want is progression, right?
I like that. Perfection is an illusion. I like that. I tell you, it's really amazing. And I tell you, when you were sharing your information there and your website and all, and I mean, it's just great that you're able to connect with so many people and come from the heart, because my goodness, Don and I, that's what we do. We come from the heart. We're about giving value. And, it's really amazing, Don, because you've seen it quite a bit, how people appreciate when they're connected with someone that really gives value. Isn't that right, brother?
Yeah, that's what we want. We want connection, like Charity said. We want that so very badly. One of the things that when we talked to Robert Jones, had him on the show, he talked about how entrepreneurship can be very lonely, though, right? We could be in solitary confinement in our little office in our house. So, especially for entrepreneurs, getting connected it becomes even more important, and the power of connecting with others, collaborating, I've seen it just explode people's horizons in their business.
It really does, because a lot of people, like you say there, solitary confinement. When I had my manufacturing business, I didn't have any social, support there. I mean, who could I call and talk to about the problems I was experiencing in my business? And Charity, whenever someone is in a situation like that, when they feel like they're on an island, that's when they really need to connect to others, because then they can see that there's others out there who really want to help them and connect with them. And would you we got about 2 minutes left. Would you be kind enough to share, something with them about that, please?
Yes. When you feel alone, it feels like it's always been that way, and it's always going to be that way. And your brain will look for evidence of whatever you believe. And so you feel that isolation so heavily that, reach out to someone. That is the most important thing you can do. Just say, hey, I'm struggling. And just having someone understand that you're going through something helps empower you to move through and find resources to overcome that. So definitely reach out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because remember one thing, folks, nobody's perfect. I know we know all that. I already know that. But my point being is that also to remember that, people do not know what you think they know. So when you're looking at someone, you think they're so much better than you are shortchanging yourself. The first step in that is how to love yourself. And I know that's kind of a challenge sometimes, but that is the starting point of all achievement. Because once you love yourself, you can love others, because you cannot give something to someone that you don't have. And we're just about ready to break for another commercial break. We'll be right back right after these messages.
This show, Your Future Is Now, is sponsored by SpeakersPathway.com. And just like the show, we are dedicated and aligned in perfect harmony with the same vision and mission of helping people to find their future. Is fear holding you back from your calling or your life mission? Do you struggle with taking that first step? If so, Bill Henrich is our catalyst to help you create perspectives with new possibilities that will bring you more peace, more joy, more love in your life and freedom. Do you struggle trying to build your strategy? Do you know how to reach your end results? If not, Gigi Ames is your expert in strategy and helping you create your step-by-step game plan to reach your finish line. For more information on creating the life you want to live, reach out to Bill Henrich. Or if Gigi Ames can help you with building your strategy with your end goal in sight, go to SpeakersPathway.com. That is SpeakersPathway.com.
It's merging and heard.
If you have a lot of spizzerinctum or the will to win, and you have a strong desire to be a part of your favorite sports team, the National Hockey League might be for you. Did you know that if both goalies on an NHL hockey team are injured, anyone at the game is eligible to step in and play the part? Teams have resorted to using their coaches, team owners, and even their web designers to fill in for injured goalies. It's as simple as slipping into your breezers or hockey pants. The original hockey puck was made out of frozen cow dung. The fastest puck shot on record was clocked at 114 miles per hour. And I'd like to take this opportunity to send out a special thanks to the men and women of our armed forces serving our country around the world.
It's Marching Neighborhood.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jim Grant. Your Future Is Now is sponsored by SpeakersPathway.com. And Dandy Don at SpeakersPathway.com, we got some complimentary gifts. Would you share some with them?
Absolutely. So SpeakersPathway.com homepage, click the button that's right in the middle, says get your complimentary gifts. Scroll down, you'll see our executive team, and every one of them is offering a complimentary gift to you. And one that I think is very applicable to the topic that we're talking about on this show and that you might find helpful is Bill Heinrich. Bill Heinrich is one of our executive team. Jim and I actually use him as a business coach for Speakers Pathway. And Bill talks about how things either come from fear or they come from love. And when you're acting out of fear, it creates a certain energy around it and usually doesn't go well. And so he has a gift on there that you just click the button, and it's a law of attraction toolkit. And if you like the topic of this show, you'll love what Bill shares with you.
Absolutely. And Charity is with us today, and we've been just amazed at how the information she has shared with us. And she's talked a lot about, fear and things of this nature. And Charity, would you be kind enough to just share anything you want to at this time with us, please?
Well, we were talking about fear and failure. I have learned that, I honestly do not believe in failure anymore, because there's always a lesson to be learned and a task that can be done. And so when we go about trying to accomplish a goal or go after something, we are so afraid of falling flat on our faces, and then we count that as a failure and we give up. But the very fact that you can walk tells you the type of person that you are. Because as a toddler, when you fell flat on your face or scraped your knee, you didn't sit there and wallow in your dirty diaper. You got back up and you kept going because you knew that every time you tried, you'll get better. And then somewhere along the line, we learned to fear that we're going to fall, but falling is part of the process. Falling is really how we learn, and those are the lessons that become the stepping stones to get us to where we want to go. So embrace failure. It's really just a lesson.
It really is, because when we used to teach lessons when I was in the military, we would categorize things as what went well and lessons learned. Because because you're going to make mistakes because you're human, and it's okay. And when you make a mistake, just own it. Okay, I goofed up. And that's what leaders do when they make a mistake. They say, folks, I'm sorry. We made a mistake here. We're going to correct this and let's go forward. And when it comes to, overcoming fear and failure and stuff like that, I love what you said here about champion your thoughts, and you will champion your life. Oh, goodness. Could you expand on that some? I want to hear some more.
Absolutely. So championing our thoughts is a matter of being aware that we have those thoughts, but not letting them become who we are. We are not our thoughts. Our thoughts come from, old memories. They come from things we've seen in the media, things we've heard. And then our brain is always just on autopilot, putting thoughts through. But when we choose which thoughts we are going to keep and that we are going to identify with, that's where you have the power. But so often we don't realize we have a choice. we just think, oh, well, I'm stupid. And then we start feeling, oh, yeah, and believing, yeah, I'm stupid. I said something stupid. I'm stupid. Therefore, this is my reality. And then that becomes our identity. And then we act as though we are stupid. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. We begin stuttering next time we talk to somebody. Then you start pulling away because you feel like you're stupid. But when you recognize, okay, here's a thought, I'm stupid, challenge it. Am I really stupid? Does being stupid mean I make mistakes? No. Being stupid means I'm incapable of learning. Mm-hmm. But are you capable of learning? Absolutely. So no, that's not true. Trash that thought. And when I talk about changing your lens and the eclipse glasses, this is a neuro-linguistic programming technique, which, you just imagine you're wearing a pair of glasses, dark lenses that are saying, oh, I'm stupid. And imagine taking those dark lenses off, trash them, give them to your higher power, just say, I don't want to own this anymore. Now I'm going to choose to look through a lens of love, like you had said. I'm going to operate through a lens of love for myself and for others. I can choose to believe in myself. I can choose to look through a lens of belief that things are going to work out. Like we have the power to, when you're talking about the law of attraction, it all has to do with the way you think, the way you choose to see life, and your brain will look for that evidence and it'll prove you right every single time. So championing your thoughts brings either more negative in your life if you're looking through a negative lens, or it brings more positive and power in your life if you're choosing to look through a lens of love and faith and belief in yourself and in others.
I like what you said there, because it really made an impression on me, because so many times, we forget that we are who we think we are, where our thoughts are. And Bill Heinrich, that Dandy Don mentioned earlier there, one of our executive training directors, about how to get out of the physical, get into the kind of like the spiritual side of life, turn on to the real energy of life. And that's very, very important, because in your mind, you talk about it, how your identity actually has gravity, and you need that in your life. And before we go any further, again, I'd like to ask you, Charity, if you'd be kind enough to share your website for someone who's just tuned in, how people can get in touch with you, your email address, and any other information you'd like to share with the audience at this time, please.
Well, okay, sure. Thank you. My email address is charityhaderlie.com, at gmail.com. Website, same, charityhaderlie.com. And I have a free download for each of the listeners. It is 3 quick tips to a more connected and empowered you. And this is 3 actionable tips that you can take today and start connecting more deeply to yourself and becoming more empowered in your mindset and in your life. So I'd love to give that to you, that free download. And you can also, for the women, come join my Facebook group called the Empowered Mindset for Women Facebook group.
That's really amazing. Thank you so very much. And I'll have all this information, websites, and everything in the description of the show on iTunes and in the podcast. But I love what you said. Identity has gravity. Dandy Don, when she says that, what does that mean to you? I mean, other than I want to hear more, right?
Yeah, it's like I want to hear more. I just love hearing about this. I've been on my own journey, and it is a journey. It's not like an inoculation. You read something, you get something that it is solved, right? This is an ongoing thing. It's like it's so deeply ingrained in us. One thing that Bill actually shared with me that's helpful, because I'm trained as an engineer, so everything is about the goal, and along the path, things either worked or they didn't work, and I tend to judge things and call them good or bad, right or wrong, fail. And one thing, little mind hack that he shared with me is to replace the word judgment, like eliminate it from my vocabulary, eliminate it from my thoughts, and replace it with compassion. And I've really found that useful, because when I look at something that happened, I go, oh gosh, that was bad, that I failed at that. Well, no, it's just like, compassion for myself or whoever kind of was going through that thing that didn't go so well. So that's just something that occurred to me as you were sharing with us, Charity. So thank you.
Oh, I love that. That is a great thing to remember. Instead of judging yourself, have compassion on yourself. Ask yourself, how can I love myself through this? Those are powerful. These are powerful tools that we're talking about today. And now you mentioned identity has gravity. That's a phrase that I learned from a friend of mine named Landon. And let me explain what that means. So here on this earth, the earth has gravity. We know what gravity is. If you jump and try to fly into orbit, it's not going to happen. You're going to be pulled right back to the earth. And so sometimes we start identifying as these thoughts. I identify as, well, I'm just depressed, or I'm stupid, or we're poor. We're never gonna have what we want. That type of thing. And so when we have that corrupting our identity, then it pulls us back. So anytime there's a beautiful experience, even a beautiful sunset, I might want to yearn to go enjoy it. And then I'll think subconsciously, oh, well, I'm just a depressed person. Who am I to go and enjoy that moment? Who am I to go talk to that person? I'm just a scrub here. Who am I to go talk to that person? Why would they want to hear from me? And it just pulls us right back. Anytime we want to make a change in our lives, that identity pulls us right back to it. So one thing I like to teach people to do is just stand tall and imagine you're standing in a circle. And you can do this with me. I'll go through it quickly, but take your time as you go through this on your own later. So imagine you're standing in a circle like a hula hoop. You're in the center of this circle. And close your eyes and take a few deep breaths in and out to kind of get your heart rate going down. And so you can just start seeing and imagining what's going on here. Now, anything that's in your circle of identity that is holding you back, anytime you say, well, I'm just whatever that is, imagine pushing that outside of your circle of identity. Push it away. That belongs on the outside of learned behaviors and challenges that you face in life and things that people said to you or made fun of you for. Like any of those challenges, trauma, abuse, whatever that is on the outside. Those are things that you've experienced, but they are not who you are. And so it's really important to take some time to stand firm in your identity as a spiritual being. Our spirits are creative. They are capable. They're intelligent. We know in our heart if something is good for us or not. But we get so bogged down by all these, fake identities, these fears and depression, all this other stuff that makes us feel like that's who we are. And then we operate, with way less than 10% of our brain, like you had said, because we have those limiting beliefs. But when we push that outside of our circle of identity, it empowers us.
We'll be right back right after these messages.
Your Future Is Now is sponsored by SpeakersPathway.com, and just like the show, we are dedicated and aligned in perfect harmony with the same vision and mission of helping people define their future. You may have heard that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, a video is worth 1,000 pictures. Koji Sumaldi says if you're not using video in 2019, you're going to get left behind. Most people feel lost or confused when it comes to marketing. Preston Martelli is a marketing guru whose strategies are both art and science in growing your business. Preston helps you make the right decisions that are predictable, measurable, and scalable. For additional information about Koji, Preston, or any of our executive training directors, go to our website at speakerspathway.com. That is speakerspathway.com.
Have you ever found yourself on an airplane seated next to a nonstop talker that you really don't have anything at all in common with? When I fly, I usually want to catch up on my reading and not have to listen to an explatterator. It's even worse if they're a philodox. That's a person who just loves their own opinion. Well, now a Facebook app lets you choose your own seatmate before you fly. According to an article in USA Today, social media startups are bringing together compatible flyers before they take their seats. That's good news for people lovers, otherwise known as philodemics. A number of apps such as Planely and Satisfy are helping travelers meet not only online, but in person. Think the Match.com of travel. I love flying and have been to almost as many places as my luggage.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jim Grant. Your Future is Now is sponsored by SpeakersPathway.com. And Charity's just been sharing a lot of information with us here on the show. She's given her website a couple of times. It'll also be in the show's description. And she gave away a free gift and everything. And I mean, it's just amazing the information she shares. She talked about identity, has gravity. Most importantly, I guess the overall show would be something like just love yourself. Don't beat yourself up. And when she was talking, I'd like to share this quick story with you, if I may. Whenever one of the golfers, I'm trying to think of his name right now, Pete, I can't think of his last name, so forgive me. But anyway, he was saying about when you're playing golf, he's a professional golfer. He says, going out there, you're going to make some bad shots. So just, okay, it's a bad shot. I was going to make 4 or 5 today, whatever, just own it and go on. He says too many golfers, they beat themselves up. And he says it destroys the rest of their game. And that's true in life, isn't it, Don?
It is. If you're living in that space where you're dwelling on all the things that go wrong, and believe me, things are going to go wrong, right? I mean, you're going to learn some lessons. We're here to learn lessons. And if you dwell in that space, well, negative energy just begets negative energy. And so love, Charity, if you can share with us more of your wisdom around how to shift that energy, because it's not easy, is it?
No, it's not easy. So let's talk about this real quick. If you're driving down the street and you have a friend in the car who is from a remote village in Africa or somewhere, who's never seen a car, who's never been on roads, they're sitting in the car with you just marveling at this contraption that's taking you down the road. Then a policeman, you hear the siren, you see the lights. How does that make you feel? He's coming up behind you. He's pulling you over. Suddenly you're filled with anxiety, right? Your heart is racing. Your hands are sweaty. And you're like, oh, what have I done? You know what you did or you don't. But your friend there, is he going to have the same response as you? No. He doesn't know what a police car is. He's just like, whoa, pretty lights. This is just very interesting to him. And so was it the police lights that made you feel that anxiety, that created that anxiety in you? No. It's because of your past experience with a policeman. Dang it, I got pulled over before. I hate that. And now I'm feeling this anxiety because of what happened in the past or because of what I'm worrying about is going to happen right now. And so it's our thoughts really that create this anxiety inside our bodies. And we're not reacting to what's going on in life. We're reacting to our thoughts about what is going on in life. And so when you mentioned, go ahead.
I was just going to say what you're saying there is that's just kind of like a flash reminder of failures in your life and how that can own you instead of you owning it.
Exactly. I was just going to tie into that. Yep, you tied it in beautifully when you're talking about that.
One thing that occurred is how we're our own worst critic, and that other person in the car with you has a different perspective, and often they can help you by being that one to clarify, if you get clarity around the way things really are. And so I think this is hard to do alone, and that's why it's important to have people on the journey with you, people like Charity, people like others in your life that you can kind of travel this journey together, because we can help each other, and sometimes that's what it takes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. We're more powerful together than we are alone.
We certainly are. It's kind of like a flashlight. If you only have 2 batteries in there and you turn it on, it's only so bright. You put on a longer sleeve put in more batteries, it really boosts the beam out there. And the same is true with social, contacts with people and being able to relate to people, because all of us, we need a friend in our hour of need. I know I do. I know that Don does. And Don and I, we call on Bill Heinrich when we're not in trouble or anything, or not worried about something, but we may be not seeing the big picture clearly on something that's doing with the speakerspathway.com. We will call on Bill and he'll just start asking us questions and the answer comes. But most importantly, it's important to stay connected with people who care about you, who love you, and most importantly, it's important for you to care about them and love them in return, because they're going to need you in their hour of need too. Isn't that right, Charity?
It's absolutely true. And when we talk about connecting, I like to relate it to a puzzle. Every one of us has a piece of the puzzle. That's our perspective. And you might have, Jim, you might have a blue piece, and Don might have a green piece. I might have a yellow piece. And we can sit here and argue about what it is. Like, well, mine's yellow. It's going to be bright and, exciting. And you might say, oh, no, it's going to be cool and calming and relaxing. But when we put those pieces of the puzzle together, we bring our perspective, we learn from each other, we get feedback from each other. Mm-hmm. This figurative puzzle that I'm talking about is not just the blue and the green and the gold. It turns into a beautiful sunset. It's so much more than we could have imagined just based on our perspective. And so when we come together, we learn from each other and build each other up. We're so much more capable of seeing more solutions and learning and discovering things that we never thought we could if we were just on this journey, clinging tightly to our own perspective. We need each other.
We sure do. That's very true, because we draw energy from other ones, and they draw energy from us. So let's make sure it's positive energy that we're storing inside of us, and make sure we give positive energy to them. Charity, I'd like for you to ask you one question. When was it that you knew what your life's purpose was? What was the turning point there?
When I guess there were two turning points. The first one was about a year into my journey, about 20 years ago. A friend of mine just looked at me really funny and she said, Charity, are you pregnant? And so, of course, I stood up taller and sucked in my gut. And I said, no, I'm not pregnant. Why would you ask that? And she was tilting her head to the side, like, there is just something about you. There is a glow about you. And the only way I can describe it is like maybe the pregnancy glow. Are you sure? And so, of course, I went home and took a test just in case. But no, I was not pregnant. It was really that I had, our thoughts are like prison walls for our soul, and bricks like a prison. And so every negative thought blocks out that light of who we are. And so as I was going through that process of purging the negative thoughts, learning to change my lens and learning to just break past these walls of doubt and fear, I was able to shine through. And she was seeing that. So that was the first moment I thought, wow, what I'm doing is working. If she noticed that in me, something is working. And then it wasn't until probably about 8 years ago or so, I went back to school to finish. I got married young, and I went back later in life to get my degree. And then I discovered a public speaking group called Toastmasters. And then that led to someone asking me to come speak at her women's group. And I said, well, I've got like 3 7-minute speeches. Which one do you want? That I've prepared for Toastmasters. And she said, no, we want you to be the speaker the whole hour. Our women need you. I've heard some of your stories. We need you. And I just thought, okay, I have an opportunity for a reason. I'm going to lean into it. And I realized those 3 speeches were actually a bigger speech. And those were the 3 steps that I had repeated over and over. And as I spoke at that women's group and just shared my story for the first time in public, I knew right then my job is to help people shift their perspective and become empowered. That was the day.
All right, because when you were saying that, I've been on stage for many years, and Don has too, and I know you have too, but you can tell when you connect with the audience, because you probably saw people out there, their energy was flowing from them to you, and they were kind of like saying, Charity, you're singing my song.
Yes,
And,
absolutely.
yeah. Yes, definitely. You can feel that. And the most important thing when it comes to just loving yourself is look for ways for how you can love others. That is a major step in the right direction. And Dandy Don, I know that you reach out with love and help people in their hour of need with speaking or whatever it is that they need. And we've got about 3 minutes left, but I want you to expand on that a little bit, Dandy, if you would, sir.
Yeah, I just love helping people get clarity on their message, to help them to grow their business through the power of spoken and written words. That's what I do. But our members have my cell phone number. Somebody called me up this morning. They were in a dilemma, undergoing a lot of stress. We just went through and we did some coaching, and she had total clarity on the next step. So, I mean, that's what I love to do, and that's what we do at Speaker's Pathway. And Charity, I know you do similar things. I love what you're doing with your Facebook group, right? Fostering that community. So it's not just you helping others; it's others helping others. Can you share with us an example of how you've seen that?
Well, I will. In the group, I'll do Facebook Lives and teach a principle, then I'll ask a question, and then they discuss it. Or I'll just post a question, and I step back, and I watch them say, yeah, this is what I've experienced, and then they're giving each other solutions. Because, yeah, the group is not about me. It is about bringing people together and learning with each other and sharing our successes and asking for support when we need that support, or when we're not even sure what we need. So, yeah, it's been very powerful to see that. I only started it about a month ago, and we have almost 260 members, or something like that. And it is growing pretty quickly. People are coming in every day, and it's amazing the energy that's in there and what we're learning with each other.
Yeah, and your Facebook group, the name of it again, please, is what?
It is called the Empowered Mindset for Women.
Empowered Mindset for Women. We'll put that in the description too. And also too, we got about a minute and a half left during the show, and all three of us, we just wanted to take our time and take our turn, I should say, and wish everyone a very, very happy Thanksgiving. We hope you and your family are filled with love and blessings from all of your family, your friends, and good food too. And we used to have a saying, if someone is going to come to the family Thanksgiving meal and they couldn't bring the food, if they'd be kind enough to send it, we'll eat it, wash the dishes, and make sure they get it back.
I like that.
Yeah. It's a thought that counts. Dandy Don, I know you want to wish the folks out there a happy Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. Everyone have a wonderful Thanksgiving. If you're traveling, I wish you a safe journey. And I'm thankful for Charity being on our show today.
And Charity, your turn.
Yes, thank you. Hope you all have a great Thanksgiving, and remember to connect with each other. Connect with your family, and connection is as simple as just asking a question. What's that like for you? Tell me more. Don't convince, just connect. So important.
Yeah, and be sure
so happy Thanksgiving.
And be sure and pass the biscuits, right? Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you had a wonderful day with us. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.